Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to go through a bit of a process here and talk about this one. Okay. All right, so Rick McCutcheon, Microsoft MVP. So I'm a CRM MVP, and I've been doing Salesforce automation projects for 25 years. I've done like a couple hundred of them over my life. So I've did a lot of work around understanding company sales processes, how they work, how they define things, account management. And now I mostly work with ISVs and some SI partners, helping them with their go-to-market strategy. So I do a monthly call with MS Dynamics World. We do a masterclass on this subject. I also organize a conference with MS Dynamics World and Dynamics Con, where we do a partner marketing event, and we just had one in Denver. We've had Trevor was there with us. We had 75 marketing people from partners in a room for a day to talk about go-to-market strategies. So we're really digging deep into this subject, and what I find kind of refreshing from what we're doing with PME is from the partner perspective, not from the Microsoft perspective. Like Microsoft has this whole idea about how we're supposed to go to market with their decks and everything else, and we find that most partners use those decks, but there's a whole different world that we live in because really we're selling professional services or our own IP. And Ben, do you want to say anything about yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. Ben Vollmer. So for those of you who might know me from Microsoft, I ran the field service business, which is where I became acquainted with our friends at Resco. But been doing Dynamics CRM since version 1. Been doing CRM kind of like Rick. So Rick's on the Axe side of the house. I was on the enemy side and the gold mine side of the house. So Rick and I go back for about equal period of time doing CRM. And I led product at a company called IFS, which was a Microsoft Dynamics 365 competitor. And now I'm back in the partner channel, helping out some strategic partners and working for launching the Power Factory for RSM.
Okay, great. So let's kind of get into this. And I always start things off with what's unique about selling Dynamics. And selling Dynamics is we're in an ecosystem, right? It's pretty unique because I've worked in the Oracle world, the Sage world, and a couple of other worlds, NetSuite. And you don't get the partner-to-partner environment that we have here. So I use this phrase from Roosevelt Moss Cantor: ecosystem conveys the idea of all the pieces of an economy come together in particular places and that their strength and interaction determine prosperity and economic growth. Think of this as your garden where you need fertile soil, seeds, and other ingredients to make things grow. So our ecosystem is really our end user customers, Microsoft partners, and we have VAR, systems integrators, ISV partners, what I call hybrid partners, people that have IP, that have industry solutions, that deliver them as kind of an SI VAR. Lots of consultants running around this world now, and then we have the Microsoft people. Their sellers, their product team and industry groups, and their professional services team. So we tend to work together to get things done. So who are the modern technology buyers? One of the things we run into in the Microsoft world, and I've been hanging around this world for quite a long time, is we used to sell to the IT person 9 times out of 10. It's changing very, very quickly into we're getting more and more business people are becoming the lead buyers, especially since we're running into situations where even on a mobility platform, they may be on their second, third, or fourth platform by now, and the business really understands their requirements. So we find ourselves talking to C-level people, sales and marketing, customer service, field service, professional services, supply chain, manufacturing, HR, accounting, legal, and information technology. And the conversation's a little bit different every time we go into a different group. So what's really changed is this modern buying process. So back when, 20 years ago, we'd walk in and we'd have all the information for the customer, and the customer wouldn't have a lot of information on what they're looking for. Now the customer's very sophisticated, right? So they've gone out, they've done a lot of research, and they really understand what they're buying, and we call this the modern buying journey. And we'll start talking about what happens at the top of our sales funnel. So this is a slide I developed probably 10 years ago, and I keep working on it, but this is how a customer buys today in our Microsoft ecosystem, okay? So they come in, and our business is, from a partner perspective, is very referral based, right? It's amazing on how much referrals go back and forth through this channel. This is why, Resco wants to develop partners, because partners have customers already. They understand their needs for products like Resco. So we have a lot of that. They also follow things on social media. So social media, this thing doesn't, it absorbs it, social media, so they see things on LinkedIn, they see things on Twitter, they see things on Instagram even, but they're out looking. Trade shows, I was just at Dynamics Minds, Dynamics Con. A lot of us have been to the Summit North America or Directions. A lot goes on in our trade shows. And trade shows are very good for partners, and then our just general marketing out there. People run into it. So what happens is, if somebody's looking for a product like Resco, they may go into Bing and do a search, or Google, but I do a lot of Microsoft training, so I put Bing up here, right? So they go in and they do, yes sir?
Question, and it can be to anybody, like, do we have any stats or numbers when it comes to social media where Microsoft related people go more than the other social networks?
We were covering it last week. If you would have went to the partner marketing event, we had a big research study on that, but I can get the publication. They're actually going to produce it, and I'll get everybody's contact here and make sure you get it. But they did a session on how customers buy today and where they go, right? And it was really, really good. So yeah, we do have some data on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so what happens here is someone starts their search and they drop down into this line, okay? And see this line that's cutting through here when they make contact with us? That's when they kind of create a lead, right? Over here is research and due diligence, and the customer bounces around up there looking at things. If I'm an ISV like Resco, that's also happening to partners are doing that. So if a partner's looking for a solution, they're kind of bouncing around. So where do they go? They may go to your website, and I put my Partner Talks website up here, but it could be any website they go to. So in this case, they would go to Resco's website. Then they probably go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn's becoming really core in the buying process. I know for most of the P2P business I do, most of my work comes from partner referral. I'm going to say 80% comes from LinkedIn now. They contact me through LinkedIn. They see my stuff, they research it. When we do LinkedIn this afternoon, I'll talk about how customers use LinkedIn because they don't engage, they just look. But partners will engage and look. So they'll go to LinkedIn. And the reason they go to LinkedIn is they want to see how many people work at this company, right? Where's the company located? What type of people are there? So they want to do that research. The next thing, at least I go to the next thing, I go to YouTube, right? I want to see if there's videos on this subject or videos on this software. And a lot of times on the website, there's gated videos, that type of stuff where they can tell I've watched their video. I just want to go and see, and maybe a partner made a video or another customer who made a video, but we'll see if there's any videos out there. I do a lot of work with MS Dynamics World, so they could go there and read the blogs and that type of thing. They could go to AppSource, okay? And we're seeing AppSource being used more. How many people have products on AppSource? Okay. AppSource is being used more by customers now than it has before because it's starting to come up higher in the search engine. But also, Microsoft reps use AppSource. So if your product's on AppSource and it's up there for co-sell and it's verified, that's a good thing because they have a different view of AppSource than we do. They have the back-end view. So they can see which products are most popular, which products have the most deals in the Microsoft pipeline. We could do a whole session on what goes on in AppSource. And then partners use it kind of to verify you. See if you're up there, to see if you're co-sell ready, all that type of stuff. Then reviews are big. Reviews a few years ago were bigger than they are today. because I think there's so many review sites and so many different levels of reviews, but reviews are still important. And these G2 reviews now show up in AppSource. X, remember it used to be called Twitter before whatever happened to it, right? In the study we did with MS Dynamics Rule, from a marketing perspective, customers on Twitter went plummeted over the last couple of years. So we still use it as partners to tweet and put stuff out there, but customers are using it less for research. Then I've got some of the conferences here. So I've got Doug up here, which is the user group community, which has Dynamics Minds, or Dynamics Con. I could put Dynamics Minds in here. I could put directions for partners. Community Summit, which is the big show in the US. ERP software blog and CRM software blog. If anybody knows Anya, she's out of Bulgaria. They have incredible viewership. Big numbers of people go and read these blogs. And then I put podcasting. Podcasting's getting really important. But we saw in the study from MS Dynamics World that podcasting is very top level. Where I'm just trying to learn about a subject, I listen to podcasts. As I go down further and further and do research, I think AppSource YouTube review sites become better. So I'm a customer and I'm up here, I'm looking at Resco. How far through the sales process do you think I am before I reach out and touch you, before I try to contact you? Anybody want to guess what percentage?
80, 90.
Could be. There was a study done in 2012 said it was 58%. That's 2012, it's 12 years ago. I think it's like 80, 90%. And in fact, before COVID, I went to a presentation that G2 did at CRM Evolution, and the presenter from G2 said B2B software, 40% of customers are 100% sure of what product they're going to buy before they contact somebody, just from the research they've done. So if I'm out selling, this is a huge game changer, right? If I'm out trying to get my products to market, this is a huge game changer. It's just different today. So how do they make contact? They make contact through our web form, our web chat, our phone, our social mail, text, email, trade shows, or they attend our webinar. But they show up. And they show up the way they want, which is interesting. Also, the research up here becomes important about the way they act. So I did this presentation at one of the universities in Canada, and it was a startup group with startup companies. And this is pre-COVID, probably 2021. And I asked the group, where do you go first? So I said, I go to LinkedIn first, then I go to YouTube first. Where do you think these MBA students went first? It's not even up there. Where do you think they went? Bingo.
Where?
Instagram. And I said, for business. They said, oh yeah, we go to Instagram for everything. It's our #1 site. So we want to see what's happening at your company on Instagram.
Who's
So-
companies on Instagram there?
We are.
Resco is.
Go look at HubSpot. HubSpot's got 3 Instagram channels,
So I don't know.
right? You know, so I think some companies that haven't kind of figured out go there. And I think they use Instagram as a cultural site. Not about your business, but about, I don't know, how cool your company is, right?
Culture, right?
Culture, right? It's the culture place.
Also activity. If you haven't posted, you haven't done anything, haven't been anywhere.
That's right.
They want
So
to
you're
see it's
thinking,
active.
is this the kind of company I want to be associated with? So we start to think about that. It's a game changer.
Sorry. So for those, who here makes a product? Maybe you make a product yourself? Okay. Those of you guys make products, G2 and Gartner Peer Insights are critical for your business. When Gartner, Forrester, IDC pull research for their analyst reports, so Gartner, for example, no longer does customer interviews. They pull all the results for what you get out of Gartner off of G2. They don't tell you G2. They pull it off of Gartner Peer Insights and other competitive sites, aka
Well, they own G2.
Gartner owns G2.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but Gartner Peer Insights, and I would say right now, Gartner Peer Insights and G2 from an analyst perspective and from a market perspective are critical for your business. If you're not on them, you have a product, go get your backside on them now.
So this is why I talk about the modern buying process, because this is so important, right? And what do we do with as a manager of a company, and what do we do with our sales team is now different. Like LinkedIn is so important to your salespeople today. And if you have salespeople that won't use LinkedIn, it's gonna hurt them. It's really gonna hurt them long term, because they're just not going to interface with the customers in a social way during this process. So they're going to come down here, and now we get down here where we're making contact, right? So web form, we don't, remember when we used to get everything through a web form, people would fill it out? In fact, I was on a partner site the other day, and it said, would you like to see a video of my product? And I clicked on it, and a web form, mandatory web form came up. I left. Right? Can you imagine how many leads that partner lost over the last year because I go to click and look at a video and this big detail, how many users do you need, blah, and I'm reading this, I couldn't believe it. That's what they put. And you know what? They probably think it's a good thing, because they probably say when somebody fills out that, they're a good lead. Well, of course they are, because they're way down the buying process and they want to talk to you. But anybody up here in the research phase would just leave. Web chat, do they come through your chat? This is not as popular as it was, but about 4 or 5 years ago, this was #1 for leads for companies. Coming in through the web chat. Phone, how many people, did anybody phone them anymore for a lead? No.
Nobody.
In fact, is this really should we call this a phone
The
anymore?
bad news machine. That's what matters.
Exactly. Social mail, my LinkedIn mail, like I said, is pretty much everything for me these days. And my text is my existing customers I get texts from. Email is still pretty popular, but the problem with email is I got so much junk in my email. It's unbelievable, and I've got filters on it, and the junk still gets through. So, once a week, I'll just go through all my emails and read them again, because I miss stuff. Because it's just, if someone sends me an email that looks like junk, it ends up there, and then trade shows and webinars. So you're seeing where this is all happening. So we've got activities above the waterline, and if you feel the customers like 80% through their due diligence, and then they come and they talk to us, right? So we've got to do a really good job, because the ones that do talk to us are probably really good leads. So I do a whole thing on lead management, because there's a difference between what a sales rep thinks is a good lead and what marketing thinks is a good lead, right? And a lead may be, a customer goes to buy a mobility solution. How long might they be looking for? Jonathan, if someone's looking at your product, how long could they possibly be looking?
A few years.
I know, it could be a couple of years, right? If a sales rep gets a lead and they don't get a response within 30 or 60 days, what do they think about that lead? It's no good, right? It's not true. It is so not true, because they may have run into a lead way up here, they're not ready to talk to you. And in fact, in the sales process, the person's doing the research is not the person doing the buying in most companies. A researcher goes through and does the research, comes back to the buying committee and says, here's the 5 people we should talk to. So if your sales rep runs into a researcher, they're never going to talk to them. And the rep's going to go, bad lead. A couple of years ago, I did a little job for a telecom company, and they had a dealer network, and they had consolidated 3 or 4 companies, so we were trying to fix their CRM. I went in and looked at their current opportunity pipeline, okay? And I was kind of looking at these opportunities, and I was trying to find out how long this buying cycle was for them. So I said, I'm gonna go back and find out when these companies actually contacted this company for the first time. You know what amazed me? I found one opportunity they were about to close was disqualified 3 times by salespeople. So this person wanted to buy so bad, they came in 3 times. And the sales rep kept disqualifying it. Why? Because nobody was returning their call or their email. So we've got a whole thing we can do on sales process and where it goes, but what we want to make sure you know is that they're out there, they're floating around in the ether. We can't see them, right? They're stealth, and they're looking at us all the time. We gotta make sure that we have the content out there to keep them interested, and we've gotta make sure once they're interested, we have the internal process that doesn't let them go. Never let a sales rep disqualify a lead, please. Okay, don't let them do it. Because that company's gotta go to marketing. If they're not contacting us back, they've gotta go back into marketing, because if they've crossed the line, crossed the due diligence line, they're probably, a good lead. So, making contact at 60 to 80%. So we say, I think it's closer to 80% now. So, marketing and sales, as well as digital and in-person activities, are now seamlessly integrated. We're seeing companies now having CROs, chief revenue officers, not a VP of sales, VP of marketing. They report up because it's changed so much, and the control is now in the buyer's hands. What happened here?
I believe another conference room is hijacking your screen. You continue.
They're still trying to figure out.
They're just looking for Netflix.
At least it was Netflix and not something else.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
I'm not
Okay.
judging.
All right. So, this was done a little while ago, but it says 50% this is the old study, 50% of the buying journey is done before the sales rep's involved. 7 people are now involved in a buying process, right, at an organization to buy technology. 75% of business buyers now use social media to research vendors. They may not research you right away, but they will get to your LinkedIn profile. If your LinkedIn profile looks bad, if your company LinkedIn profile looks bad, it goes against you. I guarantee you it goes against you. 90% of decision makers say they never respond to cold outreach. That's always been true, right? Like it's really, really tough. And then 70% of buyers choose the first rep that they think can add value. I don't know if I believe that anymore. Okay. So the role of the sales leader in the modern buying process, we've got to build value and create a repeatable and measurable sales process. So the role of us as partners is we've got to build a process that's repeatable, that's measurable, and that the sales rep's involved in the process, but it's not driven around them. Like when I came up through, it was all strategic selling and that type of stuff. Sales rep carried the bag, carried the opportunity. Now we've got to kind of put them in where we need them, and we got to nurture the customer where we need them. So we got to provide an integrated process between marketing, sales, and service, develop a quality sales playbook, and supporting educational content, right? Because this is what the competitors are doing. Build a tech stack that supports the sales process, and develop, train, and motivate their sellers, which is getting tougher all the time, right? Because we make so many contacts that get no responses that we always got to be working on that. So, this is where I sit down. Ben, get off.
Oh, my time now?
All right. So this is where Ben is going to, and he does a really good presentation on value and how do we talk about value with the customer.
So I think what Rick mentioned earlier was that customers look for reps and products that add value to their organization. So let's define what value is. I'm going to ask the questions. Anybody recognize those two? In case you don't know me for any period of time, I'm a car nut. So all my analogies are going to be cars. They're not cars, they're food, okay? Because I'm a fat kid and I like cars. So you're going to get food analogies, you're going to get car analogies. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. So what's the value in these two cars? So anyway, what's the car on the left?
Lexus.
So in America, North America is a Lexus GX460. The rest of the world, it's a Land Cruiser Prado. What's the car on the right? This is a more North American only car. Do you know what that car on the right is? 4Runner? The only car that's been around for 25 years and hasn't changed in 25 years. The 4Runner is...
Nissan?
They're both Toyotas. They're both Toyota 4Runner. So this is actually, so my wife, I'll just be very transparent here. My wife owns a 460. It's probably the best car we've ever owned. Love the damn thing to death. Brand new, about $65,000. Okay? Now they're about 85, but back when I bought it, it was about $65,000. And a 4Runner is about $43,000. So when you're buying a new car, which was a better deal? The Land Cruiser, or the GX460 or the 4Runner? Which car's a better deal?
Same car.
Same car, isn't it?
Same car, exactly.
Same
It's the exact same chassis. This has got a third row seat. This didn't have a third row seat. This has got a V6. This has got a V8. But for all intents and purposes, you get in one car, they look, act, and smell just like the other car.
Yeah.
Like it's so remarkable, isn't funny. The 4Runner is $43,000, so $20,000 cheaper than the GX. It's a better value, right? Used, so 2 years old. This is a real story. I bought my wife's Lexus, 2 years old. I paid $34,000 for it. So in 2 years, it fell $30,000. That stupid 4Runner was still selling for, guess what?
Close to the same sticker.
It's still the same as the sticker price. It's actually, you guys ever want to be amazed? Go look at the price. Has anyone looked at the price of 4Runners before in North America? You have, okay. And it's the same, they never fall, do they? Like what, 10 years old, they finally crack a little bit, but they're always a stupid amount of money. So which one of those is a value? So to you, which one of those is a value? So Ben?
The red one.
The red one's a value?
If you bought a new.
You bought a new. Okay? Anybody else got an opinion here?
If you bought it used, you want the,
I want the GX460 used, because actually I get the third row seat, I get the V8 engine. Wow, that thing goes, I love that. Put your foot down, it makes all sorts of fun noises. Okay? So no matter how you look at value, so if you're looking at this from I'm gonna buy a new car, the 4Runner is a better value. If you look at I'm gonna buy a used car, the GX460 is a better value. So value is actually in the mind of who? What is value in the mind of?
The buyer, the customer.
The buyer. The buyer decides what's value, because if you're buying a new car, you might decide the 4Runner is a better deal. But if you're buying a used car like I did, that stupid GX460 was the deal. Now, every organization I've ever been a part of has had an argument over who owns value. Who in an organization owns value? Does product management own value? Does marketing own value? Or does sales own value?
can you say yes to them all? Sorry. I was trying to speed things up.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So the truth of the matter is, in any organization, all three of these are. So what does product own from a value perspective? They own the value engineering. They own the engineering value prop. We build this feature, it costs us X number of dollars, it's worth Y number of dollars. They do the upfront value. Is this investment worth doing? That's their version of value. So just like the used car, new car, their version of value is, should we make an investment in doing this? Marketing's value is what? What should marketing's value be?
Brand image.
That's not really, yeah, they're gonna own that. But they're also gonna, how does our value prop resonate across a huge swath of customers? What is our value prop against all of our customers? What is our overall value prop? And sales owns value prop when it comes to specific customers. So Mr. Customer, for your use case, this is your value prop. And so the truth of the matter is all three of these own value, but they own it in a very different manner. So when we talk about value ownership, I don't want to have a conversation with anybody, whether it be product managers, whether it be marketing people or sales people, that does not involve value and how it means value to you and your customers. So, today we're going to really talk about customer-focused value. Now we can talk about the other value prop statements later, but today is really about customer value. This is actually, so has anybody here been through Microsoft's Catalyst training before? You got two Catalyst trainers? Okay. So Microsoft Catalyst training, by the way, is very, very good, especially their business value part. If you haven't been through it, I'm just saying right now, for anybody who's a Microsoft partner in the room, which you all should be Microsoft partners in one way, shape, or form or the other, Microsoft offers a program called Catalyst. It's what, a 2-day training now?
Yeah.
Just go sign up for it, it's free. If you don't sign up for it, you should go sign up for it. It's free, it's really good. But one of the things they hear about, what do we hear from customers? So how many customers have to have a value prop in order to make an investment? Anybody know what percentage of customers it is?
3.
Huh? Yeah, I turned it black so I can talk how much of that. What percentage of customers have to have a value prop statement in order to make an investment? You're gonna go buy $100,000 of software. Hey boss, I'm gonna go buy 100 grand of software. What's the first thing your boss gonna tell you?
What's it going to cost me and what's it going to get me in return?
What's my value on this? What's my value? And so upwards of 90% of customers require, actually about 95% of customers require value investment hypothesis. 85% of customers or greater don't have the ability to generate said value statement. They don't know how to do their own value. They know they have to show value, but if you ask somebody how do you show value in your organization, what's your business case internally look like? They look at you like you got a third eyeball right here. So what we want to do here is what's our problem statement? So the first thing we need to do when we talk about this is what's our problem statement that our customers have? What are the key challenges? Grow amid increasing competition, create efficiencies, improve outreach, increase customer base, increase customer satisfaction, decrease costs. And then over here we have what's our impact to our customer? Revenue, productivity, and cost. So we have to have kind of a problem statement and a benefit statement when we talk about value. Now I would say, we'll get this a little bit here later, when you talk about the value framework, when you talk about earlier, what are the strategic outcomes? What are the outcomes the customer wants to receive from what we've done? We want to increase market outreach. Okay? Is that actionable? Can you action that? No, not really. That's like saying, I want to be thinner. That's never going to happen, by the way. But let's just say it. I want to be thinner. What are the initiatives you need to do to do this? I want to gain market share. I want to increase my share of revenue, increase the number of channels our customers can reach, and increase the conversion rate. Those are actually our change initiatives. What we find, you'll see this in a few minutes here, is most of the time we go from over here. When you think about this from a value perspective, we want to increase market outreach. What's the next thing we talk to the customer about? How our software function can do that for them. We go right from the highest level down to the lowest level and skip all the middle parts, don't we? How many people have seen that before? If you haven't seen it, you're not paying attention. Okay? Deliver customer experience. So we have to have a strategic outcome, change initiatives, and then what the value drivers are. What are those things that we can actually change and impact that flow upstream? So when we think about value, having a framework for that value, for me, is critical. Now, this is actually an example. Is anybody familiar? Anybody here? Okay, I know you're from North America. You're from North America. Anybody else? You guys don't count. There's a company in North America that this is my favorite story to tell. They were in active bankruptcy when they came to us and said we need new software. They were in active bankruptcy. So a bankruptcy court had to approve their business case. Talk about cool. I mean, like a judge had to say, yes, it's okay to do. This is a company that's, the name of the company, because we're not recording this, right, is called Goodman Networks. They basically are a dish network provider. So if you ever gotten a satellite dish TV? You guys have that here? Okay, satellite dish TV, they do satellite dish TV installs. They also do last mile logistics for Samsung, Amazon, a bunch of other people. So basically if you buy those stupid Peloton machines, again, as a fat kid, I would never buy one, but those Peloton machines you can go buy. Who's going to deliver and set up in your house? That's a company much like them. So what are their benefits? The first thing their benefit is what? Penalty avoidance. What's that mean? What's penalty avoidance mean to you?
With their existing customers? Service level agreements?
Service level agreements, exactly what it is. They're basically saying, we can cut 81 grand a month out of service level agreements. We can meet your SLAs and put 81 grand a month in your pocket. Now take 81 grand a month times 12. I'm a lazy math guy. It's about $1 million a year, isn't it? Okay. Reduce revenue leakage. What the heck does that mean? Can anybody guess what reduced revenue leakage meant? All right.
You leave money on the table.
Leave money on the table. Well, not just money on the table there, Jonathan. How about this? How about I'm installing a dish network for Rick, and I like Rick. He's a nice guy. He's treated me well. He offered me a bottle of water when I came in the house. He He made sure I wasn't yelled at. He put his yapping dog in the back room so it didn't bite me. Rick, dude, you're a great customer. Here's a spare satellite dish. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What's Rick gonna do? Thank you, sir. May I have another? Is Rick gonna complain? And where's that product come out of? It doesn't come out of my back pocket. I'm just a technician. It comes out of the company's pocket. They lost 600 grand a month in revenue leakage, which was product they installed on the customer site and didn't charge for. Which, by the way, the satellite network TV provider charged them for. So I bought that dish receiver at $2 grand. I gave it to Rick. Here's $2 grand, just poof, out the door. We'll talk about this here in a second. Reduce staff turnover. How long does it take for you to train a new Dynamics 365 consultant? If I take a greenie off the street, pull them in, how long does it take for me to make them?
2 years.
2 years? Is that fine? You got a different opinion?
Depends how smart they are.
Okay. Let's say they're from Florida, so their average intelligence is below.
Takes us a year.
So
A year?
it's a slow ramp, right?
It is slower. So every time you lose an employee, what is it you lose? You lose the revenue that employee provides for you, but you also lose the revenue they were making because they're actually proficient while they were doing the job. In this case here, they lost 100 grand a month. So if we just do the math here, $1 million, a big number, $6 million, $1 million, avoiding software license bumps. They had to use, because they were using this from so many different providers, they had 4 different field service management products in their portfolio. 4. So if they can stop, that's another $1 million a year. Okay? This here is actually a Resco example. We won't talk about the name of the customer, but we can tell you that this is a real business case for a Resco customer. What was their business value look like? Missed deliveries. They provided home health care services. Missed deliveries was what? I got a phone call. What's the average phone call cost in a support team? If I pick the phone up and I call 1-800-GET-HELP, what's that phone call cost me? Anybody guess?
$150?
Okay. $150? Anybody else got a guess? If you're doing it with a bunch of outsourcing and you're doing it blended, it's about $50. If you're doing it all onshore, all in country in North America, it's about $150. You have your fleet drivers that cost you a bunch of money that you can't redeploy, you have to move them around. You have product that is in the car that can only spend a certain amount of time in the car. Actually, this is gonna sound weird. One of my favorite examples, by the way, you guys know Mark Christie? Anybody here know Mark Christie from Scotland? Mark Christie, one of his field service examples is an animal husbandry company that delivers animal husbandry product to customers, and they have a spoilage date. If that bull insemination product has been in the car for more than 6 hours, it's useless. So they have a perishable drug on it. And then taking back that stock back in the office, what's it cost to do that return? So this right here, their entire business value is off of what? Cost reduction. Like, again, there's 4 drivers people look at, but cost reduction is one of the big ones. So missed deliveries itself was a big one. So you really have driving revenue, cost reduction, and risk management. Those are really the 3 big ones people look at. But if you look at this here, your goal was to reduce cost. Your strategy is going to be to reduce or eliminate missed deliveries. With your tactics of how do I eliminate these things from happening? How do I enable those things from happening? And then over here, what are my benefit measures? And I'll tell you right now, you guys will get a copy of this spreadsheet, or this Excel file. This format, to me, is actually super valuable because it forces you, when you're talking about business value to a customer, to fit things in buckets and to make sure these things make sense. Is this what's the goal? Cost reduction. What's the strategy? Here's the strategy. What's our tactics? what's our enablers, and then what's our benefit measures. And it forces, the reason I like this format is it forces me to have to go through and sit there and do these things one at a time across the board. So this is a way of showing business value. So this is for the home healthcare company out of the UK. You can see what their business value pieces are here. Now, if you just look at these here, and I know this is really hard to see for those in the back of the room. Benefit measures are increased pipeline volume, gain revenue, margin visibility, revenue gain, staff efficiency, number of redeliveries, cost per delivery, cost of drugs written off, activity time savings, reduced staff cost per hour. These are all the things that we generally think about when we think about value. Like when we think about value, what we're actually thinking about are the measures we use to measure the value. What you need to do as a seller and as a product manager and as marketing is what are the tactics that support those things, and then what are the goals and strategies that lead up to those things. So this is kind of my cheat sheet because people get really confused between those 5 items. The first one is, what's our goal? Desired end state that an organization wants to achieve. What's our strategy? So again, the goal, right here. Name, those of you who are managers in the company, is one of your goals not in this list?
Maybe a green energy thing or something.
That's risk management.
Yeah, I guess.
I will tell you that almost everything you do will fit in one of those 3 categories. And if you don't agree with me, that's okay. We can argue about it over lunch or beer this week. Strategy. What's the approach taken to achieve the goal? Now, is there only ever one approach? No. There's lots and lots of approaches you can take. And approaches will change based upon where in the company you are, who you're dealing with. A tactic is a very specific action that supports the implementation strategy. So what am I doing to support that strategy? So warehouse dispensary is my strategy. Stock management and paper-based processes would be my tactic. Metric is how we got to track that. And then capability. Capability is what we usually, so people usually jump from one to the other. They jump from the strategy all the way down to capability and forget all the stuff in between. So, why is value important? Again, 95% of customers require a business case. 35% of customers actually measure the value of the deployed project. Let me tell you right now, those of you who are system integrators on the SI side, not the product side, even the product side too, go back and see how you're measured up. Go back at 6 months after the project and see how you actually did, what you actually improved the project. You'll be shocked at what you actually improved. Less than 5% of customers have the ability to place and build a business case. I have found one of the reasons we have this framework and we talk about this framework so much is that most customers cannot tell you why they're doing a project. Almost universally. Okay, why does it matter to us? Why does a compelling business case matter to us? Why do we care? Why should we care? The first thing is, it changes the conversation. Who do we all, so from a Microsoft perspective, who do we go on and talk to most of the time? Who's your first point of contact? You've been given a lead by Microsoft. Who's your first point of contact? IT? You've been given a lead by Microsoft. Who's your first point of contact?
You can have it.
You don't really. We'll talk about that later. IT. If you're coming from Microsoft, you're going to come from IT. You might occasionally get line of business, but the truth of the matter is, most of the time you get a lead from Microsoft. It comes in through IT. So you get a lead from Microsoft. You got to change the conversation. You got to engage with the business. Focus on return on investment. Why there? Why would we focus on return on investment? Does it make the price of the product matter? If you're getting a 400% return on investment, Does whether we pay $12 or $13 for a license actually make a iota of difference? Not one iota of difference. So focus on ROI. It helps increase your deal certainty, and it really helps with making sure you don't have as much discounting in play. Benefit-driven proposals. Time to value. There's two things here that we look at. One is the ROI. Second one is net present value. What's my net present value? What is my time to value for the solution? Does anybody here have CSM in your organization? Customer success managers or account managers or some derivative thereof? How do you make sure they're successful? The truth of the matter is, most of the time you don't. You just go, here's a customer, whee, have fun. If it fucks up, call me. Right? You don't actually do anything that says, here is how the customer views success, and we need to make sure we hit these success measures. What is our account plan? So a benefit-driven proposal helps with that. And I'll also just tell you right now that almost every proposal I've seen from every vendor I've done business with, and it annoys me to no end, talks about the benefits they provide. I provide the following, but they don't tell me how it relates back to me. If I'm writing you a check, it's about me, damn it. Okay? So give me those things and why value is important to me. So, compelling business case is, do my costs weigh less than my benefits? That's it. How hard is that to do? Because you think about it, your proposal for your project. Has anybody ever done a project before where you get right down to the closing line, you're gonna get a signature? We just gotta go to the CEO and get this signed off on. Have you heard that before? And then guess what? The CEO never signs off on it. Why is that? Because our cost, sorry to quote the internet meme, our cost is too damn high. And our ROI isn't good enough. So the CEO's looking at this going, I got 15 other projects to do. This one doesn't meet the bar of what I need. So we have to build a compelling value proposition. It also depends on the value proposition on where you are in the organization. Now, if I'm talking to a dispatcher, or to a field service tech, or to a salesperson, what's value for them?
Making their life easier.
Mm-hmm. Which is what will be an example of that? What will be an example of making a salesperson's life easier, or a field service tech's life easier?
The right information at their fingertips.
Mm-hmm. Our mobile offline kicks ass and takes names.
Less
Right?
data input.
Less data input. One screen. That's all making my life easier. That is an end user level value statement. At the department level, so I'm talking to a sales manager, I'm talking to a field service, head of field service, they care about their team's performance. An example of this, our first time fix rate is X. We need to move our first time fix rate to Y. Okay? Now, what if the product didn't break to begin with? Would first time fix rate even be an applicable conversation to have?
It's a different department.
It's a different department, so therefore that person doesn't care about it. So the department performance is really what they care about. When you get into senior management, by senior management I really mean somebody who has multiple departments that work for them. It could be, it's generally not somebody who's, head of is not a senior management. It's what's the impact on the business initiatives? What are the business initiatives we want to do? Increase revenue, decrease costs, improve risk. How does that value have a change on that? Now, last but not least, the board. Now, boards are interesting beasts, depending on who you get to, what you get to. I've got the CEO of PeopleSoft. You guys know who the CEO of PeopleSoft used to be before Oracle bought him? Craig is his name. He was on the IFS board. Really smart guy. But you had to wake him up half the time to let him know which board meeting he was actually in that day. Because he was on the IFS board, he was on the Salesforce.com board, he was on about a half dozen different boards. And he was kind of thinking about big picture stuff. He was really focused on what were the business objectives. Where is it we're going to actually have an impact? What are our big 5 and 10-year goals that we can make an impact? So when you talk about value, you can actually kind of ask these questions of where they value, and then give them what they want to know in that value statement. What is it we see most people talk about value? So let's take salespeople for example. Well, let's take marketing first. Where is it marketing generally comes in from a value perspective at? The other place where marketing would come in from a value perspective? I'm gonna pick on you, Trevor. Where would you? Huh?
The bottom.
The bottom?
Or department 2.
Or department 2? Or some, you look at SAP's marketing department, they're somewhere up here.
Yeah.
Like they don't come down here. So no matter what organization you're at, a lot of, if you're a point solution, you're a best of breed provider, you come in down here. If you're a global,
If you look at Gartner stuff, it's all senior management board level,
yep,
white papers, documents, studies, yeah.
you look at Microsoft, you look at, there's nothing about Microsoft talking about how you make your life easier. Now, so marketing generally owns somewhere in here. We see sometimes in here or in here, but making life easier, yeah, now that's usually where we see salespeople come in. So the problem we see is a sales team gets involved, they get engaged, they start talking to a customer about value, and they deliver a proposal to senior management with all the value statements, guess where?
Productivity.
So I'm delivering a value proposal to senior management with all my requirements down here. How is that gonna go over? Like a fart in church, poorly. Okay? So you have to be thinking about the role you're presenting to. When we think about how we present the software, how we show up, how we make things up, functional. What's an example of a functional statement about a product? What do you mean about Resco? Why not?
Moves data faster.
We have the world's best offline sync. Is that a functional statement?
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I tie that back to the business problem being solved? Sorry, I'm not thinking that. I'm grab water. So can we tie that back to the business problem being solved? The answer is no. Now, we look at product advantages. Got the next rung up here. Our mobile offline works seamlessly for our end users and allows them to work no matter what kind of connections they're in without having to click any buttons or doing any kind of complicated steps. So what have I just done? I just gone from functional to a product advantage. Okay? And my next one here is measurable benefit. What's a measurable benefit?
1 extra call per day. Visit, 1 extra visit.
1 extra visit a day. I get a 99.99% sync accuracy. Okay? Those would be, so you have to really kind of go from functional. And if who here's a software engineer or a sales engineer? Maybe a sales engineer? Okay. Pre-sales. In pre-sales, they teach a feature function benefit. Okay. About 25 years ago, a company called Demo to Win came out. And my boss, I was a pre-sales guy at the time, my boss had a poster like this, written on it in 72-point font. So what? And I'd say something and he'd flip it up like this. And I'd say something and he'd flip it up like this. And I got so pissed off that fucking piece of paper. But anyways, so what? So what is, what's my product advantages? And the second so what is, what's my measurable benefit? So whenever you talk about something, think what have in the back of your head is, so what? We offer, blah, 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 blah. What's the next thing you go through your head? So what? If you think about this so those of you who are in the room who are consulting firms, think about your consulting firm for a few minutes. What's the difference between your consulting firm and the next consulting firm on the street?
Sorry?
What's the difference between your consulting firm and the next one down the street? You both have consultants, they're both certified, they're both trained, you're both Microsoft Unobtainium level partners, aren't you? So sorry. By the way, my sense of humor, by the way, my jokes are for me, and if you laugh, that's a bonus.
That one wasn't bad.
It was the rest of them are horrible. So it's a functional level. You should hire RSM to do all your work because we have over 5,000 consultants, including over 1,300 functional consultants in the United States alone.
So what?
BFD, so what? Okay, that's a functional statement, which means we have a depth and breadth for mid-market companies that can't be matched across the enterprise.
So what?
So what? What that means, Mr. Customer, is with our rapid validation methodology, we can make sure your project delivered on time, on budget, as long as we don't get Jonathan involved. I couldn't resist, Jonathan. That's a so what, right? So you can go from a functional statement, which sounds really good, doesn't it? I call that word salad. You know why I call it word salad? You ever eat a salad before? You eat it, you're like 2 seconds later, you're hungry again, aren't you? You're a fat kid, guys. Like, that's a word salad. It's a bunch of air that gets flopped. Yep, it's word salad. Then I put a little bit of meat in the salad, a little bit of cheese in the salad, I put a little bit of croutons in the salad, I beef that salad up, and then I put a big old chunk of steak on the top of the salad. Guess what? I have a real salad now. So when you think about this, look at it from functional to financial value, always. So you should ask yourself, what does this mean to my customer's business? What does this project mean to my customer's business? And I don't want to hear, does anyone here do ERP projects as well as field service or CRM projects? Okay, you do? Okay. What's an example your ERP team uses all the time for why they should do this project?
Well, I actually don't know because I'm not into the sales.
Okay, that's fine.
You can go to AP, receivables, and payables as a big one.
Or I gotta get off of this because that product's no longer supported.
Oh, okay.
So what? Like, I came from IFS. Half our customers are on supported versions. Literally half our customers are on supported versions. So what? Oh, so what if you're in a regulated industry, guess what? You can't run that software. You're in a government industry, can't run that software. You're dealing with med tech, can't do that software. You touch anything that's regulated at all? So the so what here is, what's this mean to my customer's business? Do not accept I need to do this because this software is expired at expiration date. So what? What challenges and pain points is this addressing? How are we addressing this? If you look at your customers' pain points and you're not addressing them, you're doing this wrong. I will tell you a funny story here for me. There's a company out of Tampa called K-Force. They're a staffing agency. So they're kind of, if you think about it, you kind of have the manpower, secretaries at the top, you have kind of high-end staffing at the middle. K-Force specializes in mid-market, mid-tier staffing. I actually went through their public documents, their 10Ks, their 10Qs, and pull out all of their risk statements and all their benefit statements and pull together. I was able to show what I was addressing met the needs of their business and pain points. My favorite part of that conversation was I'm sitting with the CIO, presenting a presentation to him, and he looks at me and goes, "Who's giving you this data?" I go, "What?" He goes, "This is all on our NDA. Whoever did this guy, I'm gonna go find him and fire him." And I chuckle and I go, "Well, it's actually Bob Smith, your chief investment officer." He's like, "Huh?" This stuff's all sitting in your 10K. If you just do the backwards math, you can find this. So what are the challenges and pain points is this addressing? You have to know this in order to be successful. And then how do these change the business? How does this fundamentally change the business we're in and impact these business drivers? If you can't do that, go back and start this over again. Do it over again. And do it again and again and again. So again, you're going to find I'm repetitious sometimes. And I promise it's not on purpose, but it's more that I want to make sure you walk away from this key point. You cannot go from business goals and strategies down to functional capabilities in the same conversation. If you do, you have effectively blown up your sales process and you have no shot at winning. By no shot, I mean, could you still win? Yeah. There's a saying in America, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Okay? You can still get lucky. Doesn't mean you were good, but you can still get lucky. Don't go from there to there.
So what you're saying, Ben, is if, I'm sitting in front of a VP of sales or trying to increase sales, that's you automatically pulling up CRM and showing lead conversion.
So if I'm sitting in front of a VP of sales, hey, so Mr. VP of sales, so what's your goal this year, Rick?
I need to increase new business by 10% and increase existing business by 20.
Okay, so your existing business by 20, what's your current churn rate today, Rick?
And salespeople?
No, your churn rate in your customer churn base, your churn rate in your customers.
Oh, 5%.
5%, you got a great churn rate.
Yes,
How many MQLs do you need a month in order to be successful?
30
30 per sales rep or just in total?
in total.
Wow, that's actually pretty good. So what's your close rate on those 30 MQLs?
18%.
Okay, that's actually not bad.
Well, I'm running things,
Well,
right?
you are running things, and I respect you for that. So
But my software can't tell me how I'm doing. I have to do a lot of analysis.
you got to figure out a lot of stuff by hand.
Yes.
So your tactics that are really trying to understand how you can get those through the pipeline faster, correct?
Yes.
You need a faster time to close.
And why we're losing the ones we're losing.
Okay, so you need a little more on the competitive analysis on why you're losing it and what you're
Absolutely, I have
losing
no idea.
to. Okay. How do you measure that today?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth?
When we lose, and in the, if we actually have a conversation about it, sometimes the rep knows, sometimes they don't.
Okay. So what have I just done with Rick? Did I talk about what my product does at all? Did I jump right into, hey, my opportunity screen allows you to
Or my dashboard will show you this.
or the business process flow allows you to see what stage we're in and how long we're in that stage. Who cares?
Yeah.
Spend more time when you're talking to your people about what the tactics and KPIs they're using are.
Yeah.
Because from that conversation with Rick, how much of his business can I deconstruct?
And this guy's gonna have so much more respect for you because you're asking about business questions. And, my close rate was 18%. He says, that's pretty good, right? So you need to have that conversation with that executive to understand where their pain, like, I hate using the word pain, but where their challenges are. We're gonna have that a little later. We're gonna talk about business questions.
Well, if he come back and say my churn rate is 15%, my first question would be, so Rick, your churn rate seems really freaking high.
Yes.
How can we help fix your churn rate? What is it that's keeping you?
Why are they leaving?
Why are they leaving? Okay. And by the way, I'll just tell you right now, I did some work for another ISV partner, kind of like Resco, but not Resco. And they swore to me that Microsoft was the reason that they were losing every deal. They swore to me that their product and Microsoft's product were 100% competitive,
Ugh.
and that they were that the reason they were losing deals was because their churn rate was so high because Microsoft was getting incentives to put them out of business. I said, okay, cool. Can we go through your competitive data real quick? They said, okay. So I was doing more of a strategy consulting than sales consulting, but I said, okay, let's go through your data. And it turns out the real problem was there was a $200 a month piece of software that was a pile of steaming horse shit that's in the market, that everybody knows is in the market. And it turns out the $1,600 a month Microsoft product was not their primary competitor, it was actually their fourth competitor.
Yeah.
It was the bottom of the barrel, $19 a month to $20 a month crap box solutions that are in the marketplace today. They're competitive in the landscape. So when you think about this from a high level perspective, by talking about what their goal was, and then walking through what their tactics were to get there, and how they measured them, what was I having a conversation with that? Just, going to a CEO and saying that idea you had was, well, dead wrong. How well do you think that goes over? Maybe you want to go to their CEO and tell their CEO's wrong?
Not the first meeting.
No, not the second meeting probably either. But then they'll say, hey, look, you guys are looking at data in a different way than I think the data should be looked at. And here's the data analysis we've done, and here's why we think the data analysis is a different data analysis than yours. What are we arguing over then? Are we arguing over personality? What are we having a conversation about? Data. And data conversations and process conversations always go over really well. Okay, so what are the four quadrants, the four horsemen of the apocalypse? The four horsemen of strategic goals. What are they? Money coming in. Is that a problem for some customers? Yes. Tangible. If money's not coming in, is that a tangible problem? What's tangible mean? I can touch it, I can feel it, I can measure it. This building is tangible, okay? Intangible. Our brand is damaged. Is that a tangible or intangible? It's intangible, you can't touch it or feel it. Money going out. What do the customers look for first and foremost? If you talk to any one of your CEOs, what's the first thing you want to talk about? Talk to any of your customers, what's the first thing you want to talk about? Revenue growth. How are we doing in revenue? Rich, I'm going to pick on you. I know your CEO, every time you talk to him is, how are we doing in revenue? How are we doing in revenue? How are we doing in revenue, right? All you care about is revenue growth. Cost savings, productivity. Why are customers deploying co-pilots today?
Save them time and money.
Okay, Trevor saying saving time and money. What do you think customers are deploying co-pilots today?
Speed up processes.
Speed up processes?
Reduce headcount.
Reduce headcount? Has anybody seen what was the Klarna example out of the Nordics? Where they fired like 95% of their CSRs?
That's good, they'll hire them back soon.
They probably will, but a bot does most of their interactions. Right, wrong, or different. But cost savings, productivity. Has anybody looked at, we're going to pick on GitHub Copilot. Anybody ever used GitHub Copilot? Have you ever heard of GitHub Copilot? It's probably the original Copilot, right? What's the efficiency gain that you can get from GitHub Copilot, roughly?
70-80%.
That's what they publish.
Yeah.
If you get 25%, is that a win? Could you imagine taking, Tomas just left here, but if I say, Tomas, I can add 25% development capacity to your team, and it's going to cost you $4,000 a month. How fast would he be signing that check?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? And it was even a Sunday. He'd come in from work on a Sunday to sign that check. Okay? I can show cost savings productivity. If I can show how Resco Mobile saves your sales team or your technician team from throwing their phone out the window and chucking it, if I can show you how you make your sales teams more efficient, that's a cost savings production. Maintain market share. Now, this one here is kind of weird. Some companies are in growth mode, right? They want Microsoft saying. What's Microsoft care about? New license sales, 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 new license sales. But what if you're in a business that may not have a whole lot of net new license sales? What are you interested in doing? Just maintaining market share. Because what happens to the market as a whole? How much did CRM grow last year?
The whole market or Microsoft?
The whole market.
30% or something?
How much did the ERP market grow last year? About 8%. So if I just hang on and watch the market grow a little bit, guess what I just done? I've grown my market share, but I want to maintain my market share. Risk mitigation. And I'll tell you right now, if you do something for me, if you put this up, like I'm a huge fan of, I have stuff all over my desk. If you're calling me on Teams, you'll never see it, but around my desk where you can't see it are all sorts of little posters and signs and other stuff. For the longest time, I had one that says, if it doesn't scale, don't do it. Because I would get on a rabbit hole and do random shit because I wanted to. And my boss one time was like, if it doesn't scale, don't do it. Yes, ma'am. I wrote that down and put it on a wall. And guess what I did from that point forward? If I couldn't scale it, I didn't do it. Put it on the wall. If your customer is doing something, it does not fit in one of these 4 quadrants, is it something they should be doing? Now, I'll just say right now, I'll give $100 or euros or kronas or whatever currency you want.
130 Canadian dollars.
Your currency, I'll give you 130 loonies. How's that, Rick? If you find me a business that doesn't have these 4 quadrants in it, I'll give you $100. 130 Canadian, 85 euros. Every company has these 4 quadrants. Everyone.
Can you go back just for a second? So right here, When we're selling dynamics to customers, I find most of our dynamics customers fit here. They're not high growth companies, right? They're established companies with established account bases that are really looking to maintain our market share, grow our market share internally. And this is why, we're selling and, sales reps are showing how you're gonna get, new leads, new customers. A lot of the time, it's not that important to our organizations because they have established bases that they're selling to, and they may only have a few customers per month or per year. So it's really interesting to look at that slide.
And I think actually, Rick, it depends too. If you're selling SFA,
Yeah,
these two right here are where I see sales happen.
yeah,
If you're selling service, whether it be field service and customer service,
up there.
you're selling over here. You're selling cost savings and productivity. Look at you two fine gentlemen. I mean, what did you guys sell? Cost savings and productivity, isn't it? I can lessen the number of truck rolls you do. I can fix your first time fixed rate. Those are all cost savings and productivity hits, aren't they? Risk mitigation. SLAs. The risk mitigation process. Now, I'm not saying these things don't slide over the other way. In a profit center focused service organization, you're gonna see revenue growth as a huge component, aren't you?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Holy shit. Okay,
Take more if you need.
don't tell me that, Ivan. He gives me the hook. Okay, so observable actions. What are the actions we can observe and what are the demoable product truths? And then the quantifiable commercial truth. And this is from a customer perspective, not from ours. So this right here, last thing I'm gonna leave you with, I did the same session probably, was it 2 months ago, Ivan, we did it internally here at Resco? Okay, I made everybody go out and do these things as a workshop. You wanna have some fun? Go back to your office, you'll get these slides, you can do this, so you don't have to take a picture, I promise you, I'll get you a good copy. What's your goals and strategy? I wanna grow revenue through, here are my strategies. Write them down. What are my tactics? What are my KPIs and metrics? And what are my capabilities? What's going to be funny to me is you do this the first time. And I think the team at Resco did it for the first time. And they came back in this exact same room. And I looked at them and said, okay guys, that's nice, but you confused these. This one here you got pretty good. These three here, you screwed them all up. You kept putting these things over here, and like everything got moved around. Do this and then look at this and say, I can quantify it this way. I can support it this way, and it's observable by this way. So turn this around a little bit, and do this as a piece of action to map your business value. This is a huge piece of work to do. Once you get in the mindset of doing this, this becomes second nature to you. In every deal you go in, you should know what the business value is for the customer. Because if you don't know the business value for the customer, is the customer going to buy your solution? Customer going to buy your solution? Probably not. Or if they do, what are they going to do to you? Beat you on price so hard you come out of that looking bloodied and bruised. So with that, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you want to talk about business value some more and how it applies to you, I'm here all week. Throw something at me, yell at me, I'm here to help.
So it's 11 o'clock, 10-minute break?
Yeah.
Okay,
Short
so
break, but do we have questions?
You got any questions on business value,
Comments?
harassment?
You bring the jar.
The pavilion I like is upstairs, I'll bring it down.
okay guys, we'll see you at 11:10.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Short break.